to our podcast, Better Together from Never to Forever. This is episode 3. I'm Brent.
I'm Marlene.
And today we're talking about communication styles in our first marriage versus the second, triggers and how we can address them, how to avoid shutting down, and conflict rules. So, starting with communication styles in the first marriage versus now, definitely different.
So different. We communicate way better than a past relationship, of course. What was your communication style in your relationship?
In the beginning, it was pretty good. I felt like our communication was good. We talked about a lot of things, a lot of stuff of what we wanted to do in life.
Mm.
We did a lot of goal planning and just really, I felt like it was good, but nothing compared to what it is now. Later in my first marriage, that communication just somewhere along the lines just stopped, and a lot of it was because I didn't feel heard. I Every time I tried to bring something up, I was always shot down, dismissed, essentially ridiculed for it, right? One of the big things for me was if I asked for help, it was always, well, you do this, so you should be doing that. The finger was always pointed back at me for some reason. So over time of having that constant feeling, I stopped talking, and so did she. We really had extremely poor communication. And it was even things like discussing going to get groceries. We were not on the same page with something so simple because our communication had gotten so bad that we just didn't want to talk to each other. So it was rough. What about you?
Passive for sure. I was very passive in my relationship. I felt that I just wasn't going to be heard. I wasn't going to be acknowledged. Also, too, in my past relationship, it was very manipulated. I always felt like I was being attacked. Anything that I would say, do, or bring up was, well, you do this. So it was like putting the blame on me
Yeah.
or making me think that those things actually happened. You basically turn it around on me and be like, well, you did this and you did that. So I was thinking to myself, did I really do that? Did those things really happen? And that was so traumatic for me. Like I felt so downsized. I just wasn't being seen as a person.
Gaslighting.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it happened all the time. All the time. Any conversation we would have was to gaslight me into thinking that I was doing something wrong. When in actuality, I was doing nothing wrong other than bringing up my feelings and my concerns and what I wanted. And his overtook anything. His feelings, his concerns, his wants, his needs were priority instead of my own. So we never talked. I wouldn't talk to him. I basically shut down and stopped talking to him.
And that's hard. Obviously, both of us essentially shut down and stopped communicating.
Yeah.
But it's also hard when you have a person who doesn't want to hear you, or even a person who doesn't understand different communication styles.
Mhm,
And what I mean by that is somebody who reacts.
mhm,
If you're bringing something up and you want to talk about your emotions or something that's bothering you, but you have somebody who automatically feels like they're being attacked, is that them or is it maybe the way that you're saying it? There's different.
I mean, I think I could have probably said it differently, like kind of like we communicate. I bring up stuff or this makes me uncomfortable, just like you. I don't, what have we said recently? Like different things, how we said things that we wanted to bring up.
We just bring them up. However, but we're not in definitely not in like a passive aggressive way. I whenever I bring something up, I do think about it before I bring it up because I'm like, how am I going to approach this? How am I going to
Mhm,
say it without coming off rude, but also getting my point across? And I think that really matters of knowing how your partner communicates with you,
mhm,
but also staying sensitive to their feelings as well as your feelings because you've brought stuff up to me where you're like, "Hey, I didn't feel chosen when you made that decision." And for me, sometimes it, of course, makes me feel bad, not in the way that I'm being attacked,
mhm,
more of the way like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. I
mhm.
I didn't see it that way."
Yeah.
And so I think that matters when we're making our decisions and also bringing things up is how is that going to make the other person feel, but also how do we get that point across that, hey, we're feeling this way.
Yeah, and the approach is important. The wording, everything that we say is very important. So I don't want to make you feel like, yeah, I am attacking you, or vice versa, you're attacking me back. Like we're going to just keep going back and forth on this judgment thing if we start it that way. So the approach is very important in how we bring things up and just listening, active listening, having empathy, feeling each other's feelings. That's important.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to that point that you guys are your partners, you're together, you're in this to win this. You're not against each other.
We're a
We're,
team.
we are a team. We are fighting for each other. We're not fighting against each other. And if somebody's coming to you with a problem, it's because they love you. They want you to grow. They want to resolve this. They want to keep the relationship strong. It's never an attack.
Definitely resolve things together. It's and don't keep it inside. It's gonna fester, obviously, right? It's
Yeah.
just gonna build up, and then you won't approach it the right way, and then things are gonna get argumentative and nothing's gonna get solved.
No, and I love that that's why we bring things up either right away. Or I know there's been a couple times where in my head, I would rather bring it up later
Mhm,
once I've had time to process it, whether it be a day, 2 days.
mhm.
And also when I see you, if
Yeah,
I don't see you, I don't want to do it via text or on the phone. The messages get skewed, they get thrown off. You may interpret it one way, and I'm going to interpret it a different way. I love the face to face. There's nothing more powerful than looking someone in the eye
mhm.
and getting your point across and really having a heart to heart discussion.
I mean, I'd love to feel your conversation, right? If I can't feel that via text, I'm gonna think different things. I'm gonna think something's hostile, something's not being said the right way, and then I'm gonna start thinking, and then
Mhm.
it just ends up being misconstrued, and
Y-
we're on the wrong path. Obviously, we've done that,
We have done that.
done that.
And
I think many people done it or
yeah,
do it, and they don't even
mhm,
realize it, and then it's already like, oh, we're both upset, and
right,
so
right.
definitely bring up conversations together, especially things that bother you or that's very touchy. Bring it up together and in person. Because I want to feel what you're feeling. I want to see your reactions, eye contact. I want to feel all
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to that statement that I heard, which I now use all the time, is the hard thing is the right thing.
that. Mhm.
And I think I've said it before, but it's so true. It might be hard to discuss some of the things that we discuss,
Mhm.
but I think it's harder. I think it's harder thinking
Mhm.
about bringing it up than actually bringing it up.
Sure, it is because when I'm thinking it, I'm like, is this going to sound right? Or should I even do that? Because what if it's just going to be an argument? I don't say it correctly and it's just all wrong. But like you said, taking time to think about it, taking that day or 2 to, you know, think about it, interpret it in your own way, and then how you're gonna approach it. Because you definitely wanna approach the other person with empathy, concern, with love. That way things get resolved.
Mhm.
'Cause we don't wanna have unresolved issues, especially in a relationship.
No, never go to bed mad,
No.
which, kind of goes back into the next thing, which is triggers. Going back to what we said in the beginning with the communication style.
Mhm.
I know the big one for you is you,
Is you, quote unquote you.
you.
No, I love that. You do this, you do that. It's like, I feel attacked. I feel like you're not hearing me. You're just telling me I'm this way. And that's like, it's wrong. You're basically telling what I'm feeling is wrong. And it's not. I feel a certain way and you should validate my feelings. And if that's a trigger for me, I think we've already discussed this triggers in communication. We have many communications in the car. So we've discussed this already. What are our triggers? And we work really hard to not bring those up.
Absolutely.
And that's great. A person should be able to tell you, this triggers me this way." And if I don't wanna trigger you, so I'm not gonna bring up that word or whatever topic or reminding or anything like that because I don't wanna do that to you. I shouldn't have to bring up any triggers for you.
No. And, when it comes to triggers too, I think it goes into your past, right? Your
Mhm.
past relationship, that first marriage, or even prior to that. But it really goes into your traumas and your life experiences, and that's what really starts to define those triggers. And we've had many conversations as far as healing
Mhm,
and working on ourselves and understanding those past traumas and those past experiences. But words like you,
mhm.
we can work on it, but I feel like those will always be a trigger and I will always respect that.
And I love that because I even try to do it in my own communication with my children, with other people that I talk to, because if that's a trigger for me, I think that's still a trigger for somebody else.
It is. It's like pointing a finger.
Yeah. Your invisible fingers like you do
You.
this. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I definitely respect other people by not saying that word. How can I say things differently? I don't want to make anybody feel blamed, especially my kids, especially you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are triggers for you that
You know, triggers for me were that same word. You always do this, right? Anytime I wanted to bring something up. And a big one for me is, I was blessed. I had the opportunity to be a stay at home dad.
Mhm,
And that was so amazing. Such a great bonding experience. But it's also very overwhelming,
mhm,
being a male
mhm,
and kind of seeing the quote unquote woman's role of
mhm,
taking care of the kids and cleaning the house and running all the errands and grocery shopping, it gave me a different perspective, but I still needed help. It is a lot of work. It's
yeah,
not like going to work, taking a lunch break, and then coming home and kicking your feet up.
mhm,
It is a sun up, past sunset, grind, go, go, go. And there was a lot of times I really truly could not keep up. And whenever I would ask for help, it would get turned around and say, well, you do this, or I need this, so you shouldn't need that.
mhm.
It was just like what you said earlier, it was always turned around. And
And that's hard. Like, that's just rough. When you're asking somebody for help, you're asking them for validation, for appreciation, and you're not receiving it.
mhm,
That's tough. Like,
mhm,
I've experienced that in my own marriage. And now that we can come together and notice that we've experienced those things, it's still a little hard to say, hey, babe, I need help with this. It's still hard because we have that mentality of, I can do it on my own.
mhm,
I don't need you.
mhm.
But I want to need you. I want to have you I want us to do things together. So, just that little thing of saying, "Hey, I need help with this," it's still a little rough for me. And for you?
It is.
Mhm,
It is. But at the same time, when you ask me for help, because of what I've gone through, it's so meaningful. I'm like, wow, okay. She values my help. She wants my help. And I'm so happy to help you in anything that you need, any way. And like you just said, I truly understand that you're hesitant to ask for
mhm,
help. We've both gotten used to doing everything on our own for so long that it's like, no, I'll just do it. I'll figure out how to do it, which is great, but at the same time, we need help.
mhm. We do need help, and it's been awesome with us coming together and helping each other. We may not live in the same home, but when we are together, we are helping each other. We are appreciating each other, our time that we're together. So I love that about us that we're getting used to doing that. Ooh, there's my trigger word too. There we go. Used to. I forgot about that one. The used to. I mentioned that in the car, right? Okay. The word used to. It seems like you don't wanna get used to somebody, right?
Oh, yeah. No, you don't
No.
want to get used to somebody. I mean, I think that's when you say, oh, I'm used to this,
Mhm,
that just sounds like you have a boring relationship.
mhm, exactly. That's another and I say it, and I said it. Wow, okay, here we go. So that's learning vocabulary right there, but I'll appreciate the help. I will ask for it when needed, um, but we're coming together more to appreciate time together, appreciate the things that we do for each other. I do appreciate you. I do appreciate the things you do for me. And I want you to know that I appreciate you.
I appreciate you and everything that you do. And our brains become wired to what we went through, especially with our past relationships. And it is hard to ask for and accept help, but we're working on rewiring our brains to being open to that help, to asking for that help just naturally.
Yeah.
And it really does take time and it really is consistency. Little things like you unloading my dishwasher without me asking. At first, it honestly bothered me, but I kept my mouth shut
But I can see you cringing as you were sitting at the couch. I can
because
see it.
I wasn't used to that. I guess I don't wanna get used to that, but I was used to not getting help.
Mhm.
I was used to doing it by myself, so it
Our
was
lives were
foreign.
conformed
Yes,
to a certain pattern with that person. So
because we unfortunately over time had wired our brains that way, so now it's undoing the damage of the past and accepting the help, accepting that love, accepting that appreciation. And really, it has been great.
it
Those little things are huge helps.
Mhm. It is. We're unlearning the things that we did learn that were unhealthy and learning how to accept things that are healthy.
Yeah,
Because we have a very healthy relationship.
absolutely.
S- So much more than I could ever imagine. Like my relationship was torn, it was broken, and for many years I tried to piece it together like it wasn't. But really it was, and it was over before it was even over.
Yeah.
And I hung on for so long. I You probably feel the same way. You hang on to something that you can't hang on to anymore, and you don't know why.
You don't know why. Part of it is you have hope.
Mhm.
And I think hope drives us through many different facets of life. But we had hope that things would change. We would do little things here and there. Let's do a family outing. I hope this helps.
Mhm.
But hope isn't enough. It's really not.
No, it really wasn't.
And the other thing is we really hold on to the relationship that we had when it was good.
Mhm.
In the beginning, it's almost always good, right? That's
Mhm.
why you end up having a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
So you're holding on to that, wanting that back, having hope that you're gonna get that back.
Mhm.
But things change. People change.
Yeah.
They grow together or they grow apart.
Yeah. Relationships change. You either come together in a relationship or you can one person's changing more than the other, and
Mhm.
you're just not ending up in the same path. And that's when like, I've done all I can do.
Mhm.
I really gotta think about me, my children, and that's what we did. We decided to both leave, and our relationship is healthier because we put in the work with ourselves.
Absolutely. And together.
And together, we're still working,
Mhm.
we're still healing. And to do it together, it feels great.
Absolutely. And this is different because in that first relationship, there was a lot of it was great in the beginning, but I never had conversations and the communication that is so in depth to what you and I talk about. We're growing together. We are pushing each other every single day to get better. We're holding each other accountable.
We are.
And
Mhm.
we are just moving and grooving. And that's that part of the relationship where, yes, we are going to keep growing, but we're going to grow together
Mhm.
because we communicate so well that we're gonna grow together. If one of us is having a 10% day and the other one's at a 90, Imma pick up the slack.
Yeah.
You're gonna pick up the slack. But either way, we're growing together.
That's a good analogy. It's a very good analogy. The 10%, 90, everything's going to be not 50-50. I think a lot of people think that a relationship is going to be 50-50.
It's not.
No, I might do 5, 10, or the whole thing. And, you know, the same vice versa. You'll do the same thing one day, but we really have to come together and be together. We are a team,
Yeah,
and taking care of each other is a team.
yeah, and, we're human. Life gets you. Your stress of your job, maybe you had a death in the family. Maybe just the overall stress of your day in, day out got to you, and you have a couple days of a low. Maybe you're just tired.
Yeah.
You just got off of working 4 straight 412s. I don't know. You're exhausted. I got you.
I love that because I got you too. Let's see. As far as, oh, wow, stonewalling and shutting down.
Shutting down. Shutting down. we kind of already touched on this in the communication. When for me, when it was I was constantly bombarded with, well, you do this, you do that. I stopped talking.
Mhm,
That was me shutting down.
mhm,
Instead of finding a better way to talk about it or a different approach, because of course, what I thought at that time was a good approach, but I really didn't analyze it. If this is not working, what's another angle that I can approach this to communicate what I need for her to hear?
mhm,
But because I didn't do that and I didn't feel heard, I didn't feel respected, I did shut down.
mhm.
But, I also know that you did the same thing. We had an incident in the beginning of the relationship where you completely shut down.
Completely. I just stopped talking. We both stopped talking. It felt so weird. And also, too, I felt bad. So we ended up walking, and I had to approach it because I had to tackle it and battle it. I wasn't going to leave it that way. If it was my past, totally would have left it that way. Like, I already knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. We weren't going to talk about it later. I was going to be blamed. It was totally my fault. But I had to put in that understanding to me that this is different. Our
Mhm.
relationship is different. So let me tackle this right now before it gets any weirder, before we start thinking other things. It just wasn't healthy. I didn't want to have that drive home and just feel like we weren't going to talk. I knew that's what was going to happen. So I'm like, no, let's do this now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard and it is based on old patterns. And again, going back to that, what your brain is kind of wired to. But yeah, no, that was hard because I had no idea why you shut down.
Mhm,
Obviously, there's a lot more to it of why you shut down
mhm,
than even what I knew
mhm.
of just that situation of what we were discussing at that time.
Yeah.
So that was really, really hard. And truly, I am so grateful that you did just stop and be like, no, we need to resolve this right
Mhm,
now. We're not going to let this drag out. And I think that's so important to tackle those types of things
mhm.
within a healthy time frame.
Yeah. And our that conversation was so already tense. So I think in tense conversations, things need to be tackled right away. If it's something nonchalant, very not tense, maybe you can take a little moment and we can come back to it later. Let's
Yeah.
think about it. But something in a tense moment, it needs to be discussed. It needs to be resolved. And we did. We resolved it and we had a better understanding of each other. Just for you to understand me and where I was coming from, that was great. But for me to actually do that and say, "Hey, this is not the way it was," and just talk about it, it was great. Now from here on out, I don't feel that that will happen again. We talk so well that I don't think that will happen again. We've brought up so many topics, so many uncomfortable situations for us, and we've tackled it right away and it feels great. It feels fantastic.
Does. And that goes back to, as I've said 5 times already,
Mhm.
rewiring your brain. We are retraining ourselves on how to communicate, but also get past those barriers where we're essentially afraid to communicate properly because of what we dealt with in the past. And so now we're learning that this partner is safe.
Mhm.
This person, I can talk about it and it's not going to be uncomfortable. And even if it is, we're fighting together.
But that is a key word, safe, right? I
Hmm.
feel safe with you. I can tell you anything. You are my partner. You are the person I fell in love with. I love you every day. If I can't feel safe with you, if I can't feel that I can express myself, it's already going to go the wrong way. But no, I feel safe with you. I feel that our topics, you're never going to judge me. You're never going to misunderstand me. And if you do misunderstand me, you're going to ask me questions to better understand. And that's great. I love that how can I understand you better?
Of course.
And I've never had that. And I've never had to express my feelings in that way. And now that I can, we're thriving in our conversations.
Yeah, I mean, we're together, but you have a life before me.
Mhm.
You have a childhood, you have a past marriage, you have a lot of experiences that I may never truly understand, but it really is up to me to do my best to understand where you're coming from. In a in the heat of a moment, I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, well, is that from your childhood?" No, I'm gonna say, "Okay, where is this coming from? Well, how are you feeling? What did I do to make you feel that way? Or how
Mhm.
can I help what you're feeling?"
Mm.
And I wanna understand the background of it just because that's part of who I am too. Like, it helps me cope with
Mhm.
it and help me understand the full situation, but I genuinely want to know you. I want to know everything about you, which is also why I ask so many questions because we have decades
Mhm.
before each other.
Yeah.
And now discussing these things and understanding each other, it puts us on a whole nother level.
We have a whole different understanding of each other.
Mhm.
It's more clear
Yep,
of where traumas are coming from, where conversations are coming from, so that having that better understanding.
absolutely. And I know we've already touched on this, right? But with dealing with conflict, it is really about that approach
Mhm.
overall. And like you said, it's taking a pause. Sometimes you just need to pause. If things are just getting too much, take a pause.
Take a pause.
10 minutes, just collect your thoughts, calm down, get your nerves, your heart rate down, come back to each other.
And you
Ask,
gotta express that, right? You gotta say, "Hey, I'm feeling like we need to take a step back."
yes, let's take 10 minutes. Let's take 15 minutes. I'll meet you right back here in the living room
Mhm.
and we'll discuss this. But it gives you time. Like I said, heart rate comes down,
Mhm.
nerves come down. And now you can ask questions to understand where your partner's coming from. And then once you understand where your partner's coming from, now you can be heard so they understand what you felt. And I say it all the time. It's from Stephen Covey, Seven Habits, Highly Effective People. First understand, then be understood. And that is so powerful.
You've told me that plenty of times, and it's really made me think and approach things differently. My kids are teenagers. To approach things with them is very sensitive. So, talking to you first about it and then you saying, "Hey, understand better." Then approach it differently. That that validation or that I appreciate that you said that
Thanks.
because it's made me approach things differently and it's made my conversation with my girls so much better, so much better.
I love that. And I've seen that relationship grow over the months of doing it, of practicing it. That relationship, that bond, that strength, that communication has really grown so much stronger and they've improved so much more too, just on those little habits.
And you do the same with your boys. Your boys are obviously our age differences are in our children are very different, but you definitely approach it differently and you help them understand and you help them listen and our job is to help them to make sure they're being seen emotionally. And that's what we need to do as parents is to help our children grow and create powerful conversations with them that will change things but not in a judgmental way. Like we don't want to ever say things that like
No.
'cause I think as parents, we get caught up in the situation
Mhm.
instead of how our children really feel.
And I think a lot of it is we're putting our personal values on our kids, and we're sometimes forgetting that they're completely different people. Their lives are still being shaped by their environment, by
Mhm.
their experiences, but they're different people.
Yeah.
So what our values are based on what how we perceive the world, based on what we've experienced in the world. They've experienced things completely different. And we had this talk yesterday that we could be in the same exact environment, see the same
Mhm.
event, but have two completely different perspectives on what actually happened because of our values and our personal beliefs, what we've grown up to see and believe of the world. We forget that with our kids, that they have different perspectives.
Mhm.
And for us, we need to understand our kids first.
Mhm. That's really important, understanding where they're coming from, their generation, the way they perceived it.
Absolutely.
And then the conversation can go on. It can go into helping them. So,
Of course.
it's all about learning. Learning each other, learning our children, and learning all of us as a whole.
Absolutely. I remember when I was a teenager and my parents would tell me something and I'm like, well, that's not you. This is me. And that goes like back to what I just said, right? Like I was not being heard
Mhm.
as a teenager where I'm trying to understand the world coming out of high school. Like I don't know what the world
Mhm.
is. I have no idea. I'm trying to understand it, but getting somebody else saying, "Well, I did this, so
Mhm.
you should do it too." Well, it's a whole different generation. You got a few years on me.
Yeah.
We are seeing things differently. I'm experiencing it differently.
Mhm.
And that's what we forget sometimes about our kids is they are in their own zone and we need to support them.
Support them. Give them different support in different ways that they understand with their generation.
Mhm. Exactly.
Mhm.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please comment, subscribe. Next week, we're talking about parenting differences, navigating our exes, step parent boundaries, and also keeping our relationship a priority. So we'll see you then.
Yeah. Bye.